I always wondered, how do people stay so energetic in academia when I easily feel tired by the end of a long study session? Turns out I was a highly sensitive person. Since I learned that and started taking the right approach, I started feeling a lot more energetic. So in today's video, I will be sharing with you my ultimate survival guide for a highly sensitive person in academia. My name is Rafaela. I'm an educational sociologist based in Tokyo, and in this channel, I share about academic wellness content and also my post-PhD lifestyle. So if that's something that you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel. Before I start sharing about my strategies, let me just clarify what is a highly sensitive person. This is not really a syndrome or mental health issue, nothing like that. It's just a trait of a person that they can be simply a lot more sensitive than others. Highly sensitive person in an academic context, that could mean someone feels very sensitive when someone gives you a comment about your research, or you could also be highly sensitive when you are attending a conference that you have to mingle with other researchers. Another very typical trait over a highly sensitive person is that you feel very overwhelmed when you have a lot of tasks. You like to have a structure when it comes to organizing your tasks and your schedule. So if you see that it's like quite messy, you start feeling very overwhelmed. That said, now let's move on to my survival strategy. So the first thing I did was to realize, what are my triggers? Trigger is something that you cannot really see, so it's difficult in the beginning to identify what are they. But in my case, what I did was notice when my forehead gets very tense. When I see that my heartbeat is raising and that I'm constantly thinking about something, that means that I was triggered by something. And then what I do is I like to go back on the facts that happened and see what were the things that actually got me triggered. Based on your triggers, now you can start developing a strategy to help to cope with those triggers and not feel so tense when those things happen. If you are a highly sensitive person, chances are you won't be able to fully feel not sensitive about something. So you will have to learn to live with it. Doing therapy has also helped me find out my triggers. So if you're not really sure about what are the things that trigger you, I strongly recommend you to do therapy as well. All right, so based on my own triggers, I will be sharing with you my strategies moving forward. The first one is to care less about what people tell you. In an academic settings, you do receive a lot of feedbacks about your research, about your research plan, about your writing, and all those things. And that can sound sometimes personal, that you feel like you were attacked by that person who were giving you the feedback. But in reality, that person was just genuinely trying to help you or just share their thoughts. In the beginning, when I started my PhD journey, I was so concerned about what people would tell me about my research. And whenever they give me a negative comment, I would feel so sad. I remember the first time I received my paper rejection, I literally cried. Like, I cried a lot because I felt like they didn't like me, they didn't like my research and all those things. However, after years of learning to live with my highly sensitive side, I started realizing that they are not trying to attack me or nothing like that. So today, when someone gives me any feedback, I just gently say thank you. I will think about your comment. And if I feel like by any chance I will feel more drained by replying to the comment, I will just leave it as it is and not do anything. And after giving some thoughts, if you realize that you do have to say something about that, then I will just come back to the person and say, hey, I was thinking about what you told me about my research, and I think this could work like this, and that. What you think? Now, that way you can give you some time to process all these negative comments, which wasn't actually negative probably, but that way you can also like breathe and just reply in a calmer state of mind. The next strategy I would like to share is to try to recharge by spending some time alone. Sometimes when we are surrounded by people from our course or our co-workers, or if we are in a conference and we're surrounded by other researchers, that could be too much for someone like me who is a highly sensitive person. So what I like to do is just take a coffee break for myself, and then I just sit down in a corner and I breathe. On the same line, what I also like to do is avoid people that I feel like they trigger me. Those people are generally the people who like to talk a lot about their research, and they make you kind of feel less because you're not doing as much as they are. Another type of person that I prefer not hanging out with are people who literally likes to criticize everything about not just your research but about your personal life and everything. I'm sad for them because they have to feel better about themselves for having to share those negative comments with others. So when I feel that kind of energy, I just literally step back to not connect with those people. I'm not trying to tell you to be rude at those people. Please don't. Just gently tell them that you have a call to answer or an email to reply or something, and just simply excuse yourself. That's it. Now, from a more practical side, what I like to do is to batch contents that I feel like really drains my energy. For me, writing email is something that I absolutely dislike doing in my job. And that's because here in Japan, you have to be so polite, and that can take you forever to just reply to one single email. As a highly sensitive person, I tend to overthink every single word that I receive in the email and also that I'm replying. So even if it's writing just a simple email, it can take me not as much time but energy. So what I like to do is to just batch emails. I have like one session in the morning, one session right after lunch, in another session before I leave work. That way I don't have to constantly be checking my emails. Sure, there are times that I have to reply right away, and that's okay. But other than that, if it's not anything urgent, I try to batch. Being a highly sensitive person, you're also sensitive to noise or smell, those senses. So in my case, for example, if I'm on the train, I'm commuting to work and I want to read some books and I feel like I'm triggered by the noise, that I start feeling agitated because of the sound, I wear my earphones with white noise or brown noise. That makes me feel so much more concentrated and also helps me ease my mind. Now, if I get sensitive, even though I have tried my best to avoid all these triggers, what I like to do is to either journal or meditate. I don't spend a lot of time, honestly. I feel like that's a lot of work to like journal 1 page, 2 pages. I don't do that. I just like to make like bullet points on what are the things that got me triggered. And sometimes I even throw that on ChatGPT, and so that it can help me ease a little bit of my mind, like organize my thoughts. If you think it's a lot to just write down, what I like to do is also like voice record what's in my mind. That way I don't have to be typing every single word. Another thing that I like to do is to release my tension by either doing yoga or also going to the chiro practitioner. You will be surprised how much tension we hold in our backs and our shoulders and also in our legs. So if you can just go to the gym, stretch a little bit, your body, you can also do that at your home if you can, if you have the space. I definitely recommend that, because once you release your tension, your blood will start circulate a lot better and you will start feeling a lot on ease as well. Last but not least, I really like to treat myself. I know that sometimes we feel so tense and we start feeling a little bit negative about our own selves because we want it to be a lot more positive and energetic, but things sometimes don't really work out the way we expect. So what I like to do is to give myself a little treat by having some snack. I like to go to places like going to the park just to see people like chilling right there. And I also like to go shopping as well, so I can just concentrate on the clothing and not on my academic papers. So those were my strategy to cope with my sensitivity. I know it's not easy in the beginning. You really have to learn about yourself, and you should really ignore the signs of the fatigue. Some people may make some jokes saying like, oh, you're too sensitive. But that's who we are, and that's okay. You don't have to hate yourself for being sensitive. That's actually a beautiful thing. Let me know in the comments when are the moments that you usually feel more triggered and sensitive, so maybe I can help you through my replies. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!